Have you ever wondered how bees make honey? Honeybees produce ample amounts of sweet substance to remain active during winter. How do they create it? Honey is created by honeybees, who remain active in their hives during winter rather than hibernating like other bee species. To survive the cold months, honeybees form clusters to generate heat and rely on the honey they have stored beforehand as their food source. According to biologists at Arizona State University, female worker bees are responsible for honey production within the hive. These forager bees collect nectar from flowers, store it in their stomachs, and then transform it into honey upon returning to the hive. This honey serves as a shared resource for all bees in the colony. The roles of bees vary throughout their lifespan and are determined by their age. Worker bees are capable of flying up to 3.1 miles 5 kilometers in search of flowers and nectar. During these trips, they visit approximately 50 to 100 flowers. Nectar, which serves as the primary ingredient for honey and the main source of energy for bees, is collected by honeybees using their proboscis, a long straw-like tongue. They extract nectar droplets from the flower's nectary, a specialized organ responsible for nectar production. Upon reaching the bee's honey stomach, the complex sugars present in the nectar are broken down into simpler sugars through a process known as inversion. This enzymatic breakdown helps prevent crystallization, ensuring that the sugars remain in a liquid state rather than solidifying. Upon returning to the colony, a worker bee transfers the collected nectar to a house bee, typically between 12 and 17 days old. These house bees then take the nectar into the colony and store it within hexagon-shaped beeswax honey cells. Cooper Schouten described this process of packing nectar into honey cells within the hive. To transform the nectar into honey, the house bees proceed to dry it out by generating a warm breeze with their wings. After the nectar has sufficiently dried, they seal the honey cell by placing a lid made of fresh beeswax on top, resembling a miniature honey jar. During the winter, when flower blooms are scarce, the bees can unseal these honey cells and distribute the stored honey among the colony. Approximately 10% of the hive population is comprised of male honeybees. These male bees spend their lives consuming the honey stored in the hive until they depart to mate. So, how much honey does a bee colony produce? The amount of honey a bee colony needs to produce for the winter months is influenced by various factors. These factors include the local climate, the level of hive ventilation, and the population size and composition of bees within the hive. Weather conditions such as temperature, wind, rainfall, and humidity have a substantial impact on the productivity and behavior of bees. Schouten emphasizes that maintaining an optimal hive temperature of around 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Celsius, is crucial for the well-being of bees. During winter, honeybees regulate the hive temperature through various means of maintaining homeostasis. They huddle together, seal cracks in the hive exterior, and generate heat by buzzing. In summer, the high activity of worker bees outside the hive helps to cool it down. When the outside temperature is elevated, forager bees bring water alongside nectar and pollen to the hive. The process of evaporation cools down the hive as the water evaporates. Additionally, some bees engage in wing beating to circulate air within the hive, further aiding in temperature regulation. Honeybees will persist in honey production until every cell within their hive is filled. Once produced, honey exhibits remarkable longevity. Honeybees reduce the water content in honey and enhance its sugar content, significantly inhibiting the growth of bacteria and other microorganisms, thereby preventing spoilage. In its lifetime, a single bee produces approximately 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. To generate 500 grams, 1.1 pound, of honey, a honeybee colony requires around 2 million flower visits. So, how does the anatomy of the bee help it? A honeybee's anatomy is adapted to collect nectar and transfer honey. Antennae used to detect airborne scents, bees navigate towards sugary nectar using their antennae. Esophagus, this hollow tube connects the mouth to the stomach. Liquid, such as nectar or honey, travels to the honey stomach. Hard lining: the lining of the honey stomach is hardened so that fluid from the nectar isn't lost to the rest of the body. Honey stomach: nectar is stored in the honey stomach before the bees convert it into honey at the hive. Midgut: if the bee is hungry, the section between the midgut and honey stomach opens, and nectar moves into the bee's midgut. In this second stomach, the food is converted to energy for the bee. Flower searchers: when a honeybee lands on a flower, the feet are first to check for nectar. They can detect sweetness through their feet, which can determine whether they use their tongues. Mandible: this strong outer mouth part protects the tube-like mouth that's used to suck up fluids from flowers or within the hive. Tongue: honeybees use their tongues like straws to draw nectar into their mouths. Their tongues can also taste the nectar. Before its honey stomach is fully filled, a bee may have to visit more than 1,000 flowers. Once this milestone is reached, the bee will return to the hive and initiate the honey-making process. Within a hive, temperatures can exceed 91 degrees Fahrenheit, 33 degrees Celsius, facilitating the evaporation of moisture from stored nectar. Bees gather nectar from flowers, which is initially quite watery. Through the process of fanning their wings over honeycomb cells containing the nectar, they evaporate water from it until the sugar concentration reaches approximately 18 to 19%. Additionally, bees secrete enzymes from glands that break down the sucrose in the nectar into glucose and fructose. Once the nectar is diluted and its sugar composition is simplified, the bees seal the cells with beeswax, and it transforms into honey. This transformation typically takes around a day. As the moisture content of the nectar decreases from 70% to approximately 20%, it undergoes a transformation into honey. This honey is then stored within cells within the hive until it is required. As bee larvae develop in individual brood cells, honey cells are filled with honey in anticipation of the arrival of new bees. Once the bee larvae have grown and emerged from their cells, honeybees nourish them with the energy-rich honey they have collected. To provide additional nutrients such as protein, carbohydrates, fat, minerals, and antioxidants, the honey is combined with pollen, forming a substance known as bee bread. So, should we really harvest honey? The production of honey available in supermarkets involves beekeepers harvesting honey from bees residing in artificial hives. The impact of beekeeping on honey production, the environment, and the bees themselves is a subject of widespread debate. The ability of bees to generate surplus honey beyond their winter needs has led many beekeepers to argue that utilizing the excess for human consumption poses minimal harm to bee welfare. However, opposing viewpoints suggest that bees may be subjected to additional strain as they work to replenish the honey removed by beekeepers. Moreover, when beekeepers substitute bees' honey with sugar-based alternatives, wild honeybees may not receive the same nutritional benefits. The topic of the impact of honey extraction on bee welfare and nutrition is a subject of ongoing debate. During their quest for nectar, bees inadvertently collect pollen on their bodies as the tiny hairs come into contact with flowers. As bees move from one plant to another, they transfer the pollen, aiding in the reproduction of various flower species. This crucial role of bees in pollination underscores the importance of safeguarding bee populations. The practice of harvesting honeybees results in an increased bee population within a given area. However, the presence of these domesticated bees creates competition for flower resources, potentially leading to resource limitations and the eventual decline of other native bee species. Each bee species has specific flower preferences, highlighting the importance of maintaining a balance between honeybees and other species for the long-term survival of both plant and insect species. Honeybees play a vital role in the production of honey, as well as in the pollination of various plant species. While the process of honey production in beekeeping is a subject of debate, it is important to consider the potential impacts on bee welfare, the environment, and the balance of different bee species. Protecting bee populations and maintaining a harmonious coexistence between honeybees and native bee species is crucial for the long-term survival of both plant and insect species. With that being said, it's time to wrap up the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you stayed to the end, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon so that you get notified every time we post. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.